Xbox Game Pass, we're going to be breaking down the entire library of games that are available, telling you what you should check out, and maybe picking out some games you hadn't thought of before. So be sure to like the video. Subscribing is great as well, as this is a lot of work to do. So let's start from the beginning. Alan Wake American Nightmare is a really good continuation slash spin-off of Alan Wake. So if you've played Alan Wake, there's a remaster or an original version. This is actually a really fun game that is available, and I would actually suggest checking it out. It's definitely on brand and feels very similar. Keep in mind the games that have the cloud icon are ones that you can stream to your platform, and if it says EA Play, that means it's a game that you need the Game Pass Ultimate for. So Alice Madness Returns is actually a really great kind of twisted, dark 3D platformer that actually includes both Alice games within it. You play the first one from within the menu and the regular Madness Returns as well, which is pretty cool. Alien Isolation, a great horror game where you actually have to run away and feel the fear of the aliens and some other things chasing you within it. It's also FPS boosted for a Series X, so that's pretty cool. Aliens Fireteam is a fairly fun cooperative sort of shooter with a story focus where you're going in and you're dealing with huge swarms of aliens. Quite fun. Among Us is a very popular, well, not as much these days, but still pretty popular game where you are trying to figure out who is sus and to survive the challenges along the way. It's a multiplayer focused experience and one that is quite fun. Ark Ultimate Survivor Edition, it's got a bunch of content in it, open world, survival game, offers a lot of gameplay for you by yourself, with your pals, or with random people online, which is pretty cool. There's Anthem. Just kidding. Don't play Anthem. The Anacrusis. It's sort of like Left 4 Dead on a cruise ship. It's still early preview, so they're still working on a lot of things, but it's kind of a neat game. The Ascent, if you want cyberpunk twin-stick shooter action, it's not bad. The co-op doesn't really work the best, but, it's kind of a cool thing. Astroneer is a pretty fun survival game with a very stylistic, minimalistic visual approach to it, and you survive in space. Good luck. The Banjo-Kazooie games are pretty fun. A lot of people like the classics, so you might want to check these three out. Pretty cool games. Back 4 Blood is basically Left 4 Dead 3 in all but the name, so zombie action, lots of action, where you are just blasting the undead, competing against others, or working with others to survive. Atomic Crops is actually kind of cool. It's like a roguelike, but it's like farming meats, that kind of thing. It's very different, so actually something I would suggest. Bards Tale, the Bards Tale trilogy is more of like a really old throwback style of game, where the ARPG version of a Bard's Tale, the Resnarkled, is kind of like a newer version of it, sort of Diablo-esque almost, so it's kind of a cool first-party series that you might kind of find interesting. Batman Arkham Knight. Some folks don't like the Batmobile sequences, but it is a pretty good Batman game. Then we got our Battlefields. Battlefield 4, still fairly populated. There's been some people on Battlefield 3 again, so you can find some matches. Same with Bad Company 2 and 1. These ones have pretty good story content, so I suggest that for those two. But yeah, you can always find matches in Battlefield 4, a couple in Battlefield 3. Battlefield 5 is popular again. And so is Battlefield 1. You can actually find quite a few matches and whatnot, so those are enjoyable. Hardline you can find a couple matches in, that's like a Cops and Robbers spin-off. But I would say at this point your best bet is still Battlefield 4, with Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5 being secondary, interesting options. So this is a brawler, Battletoads, that's right. It's a pretty cool one. Some of the minigames a little frustrating, but it's a fun little brawling game. We've got Siege, where you make siege weapons and you go out and do like intense destruction and conflict and stuff. Like you literally build all of these little sieging units. It's really, really neat. Black Desert, MMORPG, you might find it kind of be interesting. It offers a lot of content, but it's also, decently repetitive, but it does look nice. Black is a classic shooter. You might find that to be interesting. Blinks, I don't know if I would necessarily suggest it, but Blinks is a sort of comical, almost ahead of its time-based sort of challenging game, which is kind of neat. Broken Age is a really lovely, beautiful adventure type game, point and click style, two halves to it, very, very well done. Brutal Legend is sort of an action hack and slash with a Jack Black. It's quite funny, but it also has some like strategy type elements. Now, Bug Fables is kind of a neat, I would say, kind of turn-based sort of bug type game. You might find that one to be cool. City Skylines, the successor to SimCity. You build whatever kind of crazy city you want. It's actually really, really good. There is Conan Exiles is kind of like Ark, but in the Conan universe, it's not super popular these days. I feel like I should mention Burnout Paradise. It's a pretty good remastering of a very well done, of its time sort of racing game. Contrast is really lovely. If you like Bioshock, it's kind of like a more indie take on that. It is part of the first party, and it's finally available through the Game Pass, which is nice. Crackdown 3 story, not too bad. Big explosions, stuff like that. Multiplayer's dead, but single player is kind of cool. Craftopia, crafting game, where it's kind of like Zelda-esque a little bit, kind of neat. Crimson Skies is a classic piloting, fighting kind of game. It's really, really cool. The Crisis games, keep in mind there's remasters out there, so you might want to check those out. Crusader Kings III is a perfect strategy game where it's got like tons of lineage and stuff like that. I did some videos on it. It's really, really, really cool. Crossfire X is kind of a very easygoing shooter. The campaign might be something you like, and the multiplayer is, kind of available, so you might find that to be intriguing if you want to check out just an easygoing shooter. It's very popular in, I guess you would say, not North American markets, but elsewhere. It's actually a really big deal, this franchise. Dantes Inferno is kind of like a hack and slash old school God of War type game. It runs at 60 FPS on modern platforms, so pretty cool. This one is kind of a weird one. I don't really know how to describe it, but if you want to get more strange type games on Game Pass, it might be one to support. Day of the Tentacle is a classic point-and-click adventure type game. DayZ, open world survival, where there's tons of zombies, but other players are the real threat. Dead by Daylight, a great asymmetrical multiplayer experience. One player plays as the killer, 4 plays as the survivors. Good luck out there. Dead Cells is a very, very, very well done and incredible platforming roguelike experience that brings danger, excitement, and gorgeous visuals. The Dead Space collection. Dead Space is getting remastered, or remade, reimagined in the near future, but I would highly suggest jumping into Dead Space 2 or 3. They're really fun games. Dead Space 3 has some co-op action to it, and pretty cool experiences. Death's Door is insanely well loved, so you might find that one to be intriguing if you want sort of a Dark Souls-esque, but it's a lot of people love it. Deep Rock Galactic. Actually a ton of fun. It is a dwarven game where you're working together with others and you are trying to mine minerals, escape, and battle bug things. The Dirt franchise, if you like Rally, I would go with Dirt Rally 2.0. If you want more of an arcadey type thing, I think Dirt 5 is absolutely fantastic. Beautiful game and a great showcase of next-gen technology. Destroy All Humans remake, great, funny, excellent experience that remakes that classic Destroy All Humans action. The Dishonored franchise is all really great. So go with 1, 2, and then that one is kind of a 2.5, but a little bit of a spin-off standalone. If you've got kids, Disneyland Adventures allows you to just go around Disneyland doing little mini games, which is pretty cool. Donut County is a neat little indie game where you keep sucking things up and the hole gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Kind of cool. So you just get like a really big, huge hole by the end of it. It's wild. The Doom franchise. So you got your classic Dooms. You got Doom 93. You got Doom 2 Classic. You got Doom 64. And then there's Doom 3, which is a phenomenal horror game. And then if you want the modern era of Doom, we've got Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal, which are kind of like a 2-part series. Phenomenal experiences. You got your Dragon Ages, which are pretty cool role-playing games. Inquisition's the most modern one and optimized for Series X. We've got the Dragon Quest games. This is kind of like JRPG action meets Minecraft, and this is more of a purist JRPG experience. So hopefully we get more Dragon Quest in the future. Then we've got Edge of Eternity is kind of Final Fantasy-esque, but an indie experience. You might find that one to actually be quite cool. It's very different. And then we've got our Elder Scrolls Online MMORPG. Highly, highly recommend. Skyrim, one of the most iconic games ever created. And Morrowind's a little harder to get into, but it's still pretty cool. They also have Oblivion, but that's later on in the list. I wouldn't suggest Elite Dangerous because they've given up console support at this point. Ember is kind of a game where you put out fires, which is kind of neat. No, it looks like there's a Canadian flag in the background. That's kind of neat. The Evil Within series is a really good psychological horror title. Very well done. 2-parters. Definitely suggest either or. You got your Fables. You can jump into any of the Fables. You don't have to play anyone in particular order, but, Fable Anniversary, Fable 2. Fable 2 is considered one of the best RPGs ever, and Fable 3 is actually pretty good too, and Fable 2 and 3 you can play in co-op, which is kind of nice, so highly, highly recommend Fable 2. Fable Anniversary is fantastic. Fable 3 is good too. You got your Fallouts. Fallout 3 and New Vegas are typically considered the best classic games. Fantastic. They look great on the new consoles. Highly suggest them. I personally love Fallout 4. I think it's just amazing RPG, like role playing. You get to do some building. And then Fallout 76 is like a multiplayer take on that. And while there has been some bad sort of notes around Fallout 76, they actually have improved it a ton since release. Actual story content, really fun Fallout multiplayer. I do suggest checking it out at this point. Feeding Frenzy, classic series where you are nomming on fish in order to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and eat more fish. That's your farming. Seriously, you farm. And this is a kind of a cool limbo-esque platforming puzzle-solving type game in a water world. Kind of cool. And you got your FIFAs, if you like Fight Night, which is boxing. You got your Final Fantasies. I believe that one is leaving soon, so you might want to jump in on that. And then again, we've got our Final Fantasy 13, which is the first one, and then 13-2, and then there's Lightning Returns, which should show up later on the list. So work through these, because I imagine that one will go away, then that one, because we just got the final one. They've been kind of trickling them out every a couple months or so. Firewatch is a really cool, few-hour, easygoing, sort of spooky, sort of mystery-type game. Really, really neat. For Honor, knights fighting each other, kind of cool. A lot of people like it. The Forgotten City is like the Elder Scrolls, but it's just dialogue driven, where you have to figure out who's breaking the golden rule. It is incredible. Gang Beasts, a lot of people like it. Multiplayer action, Fusion Frenzy, classic Mario Party type game. Full Throttle Remastered is a classic role playing point and click type game, similar to Day of the Tentacle and whatnot. Forza Horizon 4 and 5, absolutely amazing open world driving games. Highly, highly recommend. You got your Gears franchise. I suggest all of them, but at this point I would say do Ultimate Edition 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then if you like Colin Baird, maybe Judgment. And if you want like an XCOM turn-based shooter take on Gears, Gears Tactics is actually really, really good. Genesis Noir is like a very artistic, crazy kind of adventure. It's really, really kind of neat. Goat Sim, if you want to be a goat, you go around destroying stuff. Silly, kind of dumb, but a lot of people love it. I think Greedfall is actually a very underappreciated RPG experience where you are going to this magical land trying to solve a plague of sorts or find a cure for it. It's really, really cool, and I highly suggest it. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, they've added some fixes and whatnot, so if you want to go back to San Andreas, it's the way to do so on the modern platform. This is kind of a weird one where you become like animal stuff. It's by Swirty, so you might find a cool mini golf with friends, kind of neat. Grim Fandango Remastered, again, another classic adventure point and click game, considered one of the best games of all time. Just really, it is. Grounded, it is open world survival where it's kind of a Honey I Shrunk the Kids thing. It's really, really cool. It keeps getting updates. Very well done. The Gunk is actually a really nice few hour, 4 or 5 hour kind of easygoing adventure type game. It's quite neat. Light puzzles. It was actually a sucking good time. Hades is a pretty intense, aggressive, hardcore roguelike game. A lot of people love it. It looks beautiful. Then you got your Halos. So I heavily suggest Halo the Master Chief Collection. That gives you 1 through 4 plus Reach. Then you can jump into 5. And if you're adventurous, you can jump into Infinite. And then if you like RTS, we've got Halo Wars Definitive and Halo Wars 2, which has 2 versions for some silly reason. I don't know. But yeah, Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice, there's a second one coming. Highly, highly, highly recommend. Put on some headphones, ASMR the video game. It is an incredible narrative-driven journey. The Hitman Trilogy, absolutely phenomenal package of games. Really, really good. Some of the best, kind of, I guess you would say, do whatever you want games, sandbox experiences where you make choices. Phenomenal. Injustice 2, kind of like Mortal Kombat, but with DC characters and a little less violent. Into the Pit is actually a pretty cool kind of throwback shooter kind of thing. It's kind of neat. It Takes Two is a phenomenal co-op, you must play this in co-op kind of game. Highly, highly recommend. We've got Cameo, which is kind of a cool adventure game. It looks beautiful on Series X. Absolutely stunning with the upgrades they gave it. Pretty cool game. If you want to do like building your own Jurassic World is pretty good. Kind of a city builder kind of thing, but more like Zoo Tycoon like. Killer Instinct Definitive Edition, great fighting game filled with cool characters, some guest characters, very, very well done. I want to give like Just Cause a little bit of praise. It is actually like kind of a neat open world, do crazy stunts kind of game. Knockout City is a pretty fun dodgeball experience. I think that one's kind of interesting. Lake is a easygoing kind of delivery kind of game. You might find that to be intriguing. If your kids like The Last Kids on Earth, the Netflix series or the book series, the game's actually kind of fun for a few hours. It's a hack and slash cooperative. And this is the last part of the Final Fantasy series, so this one just released not too long ago. So good luck working through them. You got your Maddens. The Long Dark, Canadian Survival. Some people really, really like it. Limbo, kind of a really cool... That was kind of what I was talking about. That other game was like, you sort of... you move around as this kid trying to figure out what's going on. It's really messes with things. It's a really, really neat experience. Maneater, Shark RPG. Phenomenal game. Lots of fun. Hilarious. It's like Feeding Frenzy on steroids. Marvel's Avengers, if you play through the story content, just story content, it's actually pretty good. Very well done game that allows you to do basically Avengers action within the crew, and you get to meet all your great characters. Some of the multiplayer stuff, but just playing the campaign, pretty good. Guardians of the Galaxy, my game of the year last year, phenomenal experience. A must-play, one of the best games. 16-hour story, you play a Star-Lord, and you really get to meet the team, make choices. Phenomenal. Absolutely must play. Must play. Your Mass Effects, but you should be playing the Legendary Edition because it comes with those 3, but upgraded and improved in many, many ways. Skip Andromeda. Kind of a cool platformer. It's not too bad. Flight Sim. You literally get to do flight simulation across the entire world. Stunning game. Very much worth it. This is like Assassin's Creed, but Middle-earth with some Nemesis system where you get to mess with orcs, which is kind of fun. Minecraft Dungeons takes Minecraft and it makes it a dungeon crawling experience. They've added tons of content. Highly recommended. We've got MLB The Show 21, but keep in mind 22 is coming out very, very soon at the time of doing this video. So I would prepare for MLB The Show 22 instead of this one, as it is coming. Mirror's Edge, pretty good games, platforming, parkour type things. Mortal Kombat 11, brutal fighting game, very, very well done. People love it. If you like Dark Souls and whatnot, Mortal Shell is kind of similar to them, but more indie-like. My Time at Portia is kind of like Harvest Moon, where you're kind of building up like a house, doing farming, doing adventuring. It's pretty well done. Need for Speed, a lot of people love Hot Pursuit. Heat is okay. Skip the other ones. Myst is a kind of a remake of a classic sort of puzzle-solving game. You might find it to be quite intriguing. Neon Abyss, not a bad roguelike. I actually kind of liked it. This is an adorable, Super Lucky's is an adorable 3D platformer. Highly, highly, highly recommend. Make sure you're getting the newer version, though, because I think they have 2 versions on here. You got your NHLs. Nobody Saves the World. A lot of people really, really like that one. It's kind of a adventure-type experience. And then you've got No Man's Sky, which is sort of an open galaxy kind of survival game. It's so-so. A lot of people really, really, really like it. There's Oblivion, which actually runs and looks beautiful on Series X. Absolutely stunning. Same with Series S too, actually. So that one is purest high fantasy RPG experience. Octopath Traveler is like a throwback kind of JRPG experience with tons of characters and literally unlimited hours of gameplay. It is ridiculous. You got your Oris. Really, really great hardcore platforming games. Super, super challenging, but very lovely Disney-esque story sequences. Outer Worlds, you only got so much time. Good luck out there. Try to survive in so much time and figure out what's going on within time loops. The Outer Worlds, which is basically Fallout in space. Phenomenal. A lot of fun. I loved it. It's a great RPG experience. It doesn't take forever to play. Like, you actually can finish it and have a good time, so I like that. Outriders, I really liked. It's sort of like Gears of War meets Destiny. It's really, really messed up, but a fun co-op time, so enjoyable. You got your Peggles, Peggle 2, Peggle, classic games. And then we've got Paradise Killer is like a really, really weird sort of mix of murder solving and then also like a text kind of game. It's very, very weird. Overcooked 2, a great cooperative cooking game. Lots of fun to work together and very frustrating. But also, seriously, really enjoyable. Perfect Dark, absolute classic shooter. Prepare for the new one that's coming out down the road. Highly, highly recommend the first Perfect Dark. The second one, 0-0 is okay. So. we got the Pillars of Eternity games. So if you are looking forward to Avowed, these two are ones to get ready. They're different from what Avowed's going to be, but it's the same universe. A Plague Tale Innocence, the first game of this incredible narrative-driven adventure between Amicia taking care of her younger brother there, and there's thousands of rats on the screen. The sequel is coming very, very soon and debuting on Game Pass, so I would definitely check that out, and check out this one as well. Plants vs. Zombies, it's like basically Battlefield for kids. Battle for Neighborville is the newest one, so it'll be quite popular, but people are die-hard about Garden Warfare 2, so you'll find lots on there. Psychonauts 1 and 2, I would say maybe you could skip Psychonauts 1 because it's not as upgraded as Psychonauts 2 is. Psychonauts 2 is one of the best games that came out last year. It is such a great platformer with so much heart. Highly recommend that one, seriously. And if you like Psychonauts 2, jump and play Psychonauts 1. If you can handle both of them, do so. But yeah. Prey is a really good psychological thriller type shooter game, and it really messes with you. It's quite cool. Similar, kind of like Bioshock Dishonored like. Paparazzi, if you like taking pictures of dogs, that's what that game is. Quake is a perfect remaster of the classic Quake experience, which is a shooter. It's kind of wild, co-op stuff, multiplayer, all kinds of things with crossplay. Quantum Break is actually really great if you like Remedy's titles, Control, Alan Wake. I actually do really suggest Quantum Break. It's a great story. It's not terribly long, but it's got a good amount of length to it. You make some choices. It actually is really good. Your Rages, open world, crazy shooting. The second one a little bit more punk-like. They're pretty enjoyable. ReCore Definitive Edition, first party. It is a platformer with some color-based shooting. It actually is really good. The ending dungeon's not so good, but the game is decent. I really wish they would give it a second chance for a sequel. If you enjoy Indian culture, you will find Raji and Ancient Epic to be a pretty cool game. It dives deep into it, and I think handles it very, very well. Rain on Your Parade, you're just kind of this really mean cloud that causes a lot of problems for others. It's pretty funny. Rare Replay, classic Rare games, but a lot of these are available separately here as well, but, 30 games from Rare's library. Pretty cool. Resident Evil 7, which is a first-person take on Resident Evil. Pretty fun experience. I think a lot of folks like it. And then we've got Scarlet Nexus is a pretty good JRPG with two perspectives that you can play. It's kind of neat, a little bit wild, and crazy looking. Rise, Son of Rome is a fantastic hack and slash story game based within Roman history, and it's very, very well done. Is it necessarily like the greatest thing ever? I don't know, but it's a fun experience. It looks really, really good, and I think people are a little too hard on it. Rush, very good for the kids. Lots of like minigame type things, lots of different characters from Disney. Definitely worth it. Sea of Thieves become the ultimate pirate in this pirate simulation game. Second Extinction, shooting dinosaurs together as a crew, kind of fun. Still in game preview, which has been for a while, but if you like Dead by Daylight, this is kind of Dead by Daylight, but for the kids. So, asymmetrical multiplayer where they take on the creepy neighbor. I know it's quite popular with the young ones. Serious Sam 4, just a ridiculous shooter. It's not like necessarily amazing to any degree, but it's entertaining and easy to shoot through. Shredders is a snowboarding experience if you like, I guess you would say, like SSX, or you like Amped. It is a little technical, but it's kind of cool. Skatebird, very easygoing skateboarding game where you're playing as a bird. It's kind of adorable. You got your Skates. People swear by Skate 3, so that would be the one to check out if you want a really intense skateboarding experience. The Sims 4, it's The Sims. You make regular people, you go through lives. It's Sims action. Slime Rancher is an adorable farming game where you are farming slimes, you feed them, and then they poop out little plorts that you sell. The second one's coming. It's debuting on Game Pass this year. Highly recommend. Sniper Elite 4. Get ready for Sniper Elite 5, which will debut on Game Pass. Sniper Elite 4 is a really good sniper tactical shooting type game. Cool multiplayer, good co-op action. Definitely worth checking out. Then we've got SSX, so-so snowboarding, not as good as the classics. Actually surprised SSX 3 isn't on here. Fallen Order, prepare for the second one that's apparently going to be coming down the road. It's kind of like a Dark Souls meets Star Wars. Battlefront 2 is still quite populated. If you want to do shooting action, there is actually a pretty cool story to it as well, but yeah, it's an intense shooter that's similar to Battlefield. If you like flying, Star Wars Squadrons is kind of cool. You get to do like the, the TIE fighters versus the X-Wings and stuff like that. Stardew Valley, perfect kind of Harvest Moon-esque experience. where you're farming and living your town life, which is quite quaint. I got Streets of Rage 4, which is a really, really good brawler game that continues the series. Your two Subnautica and then Subnautica Below Zero. They're kind of open world underwater survival games, which are kind of cool. They both have different stories. We got State of Decay. So actually, I like the first one quite a bit, but State of Decay 2 does improve on a lot of stuff. So if you like a zombie management game, that's what that is. And we've got that's Super Lucky's Tale. You want to play New Super Lucky's Tale. Then we got Sunset Overdrive, which is a very overlooked Xbox gem. It is sort of just this crazy open world shooting, blasting, having a wild time kind of game. Highly recommended. Super Mega Baseball 3 is actually really cool for character customization. It's an indie baseball game. I know the show is like more realistic, but this one is kind of fun and actually very well done on its own too. Then we've got Tell Me Why, if you like the Life is Strange games. This is kind of similar along those lines. It's the same company that made that, so you might find this one to be kind of interesting. Terraria, Minecraft, but 2D. I know people get mad about that, but whatever. Tetris Effect is actually a really, really good take on Tetris. Very zen-ish. The Hunter Call of the Wild, if you like hunting games, very, very well done. Titanfall 2, great story. I think the multiplayer still kick in. You do mech-based action. Very, very good. Rainbow Six Siege, competitive multiplayer shooter where you get to destroy stuff. Pretty well loved. And Extraction is a spin-off of that game where you're trying to fight like alien type things. It's not too bad. It's maybe worth checking out. Then we've got UFC. If you like the UFC, that's kind of neat. 2 Point Hospital, you run a hospital, but it's a little silly and fun. Kind of neat. Tunic, the first hour and a half is really good, but after that you kind of need to put on no fail mode, otherwise it's just like, not that fun. Unpacking is actually a pretty neat zen, easygoing puzzle solving game where you just literally unpack things in a room. Unravel and Unravel 2, adorable but pretty hardcore platforming games with really, really sad but great stories. Definitely worth checking out. Viva Pinata, classic games of Xbox, first party. Highly recommend Trouble in Paradise. You manage a farm, you get pinatas, you do stuff like that. Pretty cool. The Walking Dead games. So here you get some choices. So you want to do Walking Dead 1, 2, A New Frontier, and then you have to buy the fourth and final season. The Michonne stuff, meh. But yeah, Clementine's Journey is great. And then we've got Wasteland. The Wasteland series is an incredible hardcore action sort of RPG experience. They're all worth checking out. Very, very cool. The Wild at Heart is sort of like Pikmin, where you are going about commanding a little group of troops and stuff like that. A little bit of a sad story to it. Weird West, that one's new. That's 5 different stories. Another action RPG type game where you gotta go around this map. It's sort of like the old Fallout 1 and 2 games, where you've got to like interact and make choices. It's really, really neat. We Happy Few, first party game, pretty fun. You do either the story or survival thing, and there's some DLC stuff. It's kind of neat. Bioshock-esque. Way Out is another co-op, must-play, only in co-op kind of game where you break out of jail. Then we've got our Wolfensteins. So you play basically... well, this is technically the first one, but this is a prequel. So you would do the Old Blood, you would do the New Order, you'd do Colossus, and then you would do Youngblood, and then eventually I'm assuming a third one will come out at some point down the road. World War Z, it's kind of like Left 4 Dead, and you do zombie survival. They added a ton of content to it. Huge hordes, very, very good. Worms. Worms WMD is considered the best of the series. It's a turn-based kind of worm battling action game. Really, really cool. Worms Rumble is more of like a battle royale take on the series. It's not bad. Wreckfest, very good, crazy driving where vehicles just get smashed to bits. It's kind of awesome. Then you got your Yakuzas. A number of Yakuzas have been removed, which is sad, but, you know, Yakuza 3, 4, 5, 6, great games. Yakuza Like a Dragon is kind of its own thing, so you could do that one, but it doesn't really play like the other Yakuza games, despite being in the same area. But if you can play the Yakuza franchise, highly, highly, highly recommend it. And Zombie Army 4, spin-off of the Sniper Elite series, where you are working as a team to survive against zombies. It's its full-owned game. Very, very good. Great experience. And finally, Zoo Tycoon. Run a zoo. Easygoing, fun, kind of adorable, first party. What, you too good to take care of these animals? I don't think so. So I hope this helped you find some new games. Again, liking the video is great, subscribing is great as well. And hopefully you found something new to play, and there will always be new games, so we will jump back. We do this about every 2 months or so, this look at like all of the games available through the Game Pass. Lots of work.